Who has one of the most sonically diverse discographies of all time? Well, Sufjan Stevens, of course. This certified indie sweetheart probably has one of the best discographies that I've ever heard. So today, I'm going to be casually ranking Sufjan Stevens' discography.
And he called me Subaru.
For the sake of time, Sufjan has like hundreds of albums out. I'm only going to be ranking the official studio albums. And the first one on that list is The Sun Came. This album's very fun. You got some Middle Eastern vibes, some Celtic vibes, some kind of Viking type vibes almost. A lot of these tracks are very skippable, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad album, because this is Sufjan we're talking about, okay? This guy's a genius. The album starts out amazingly with We Are What You Say. I love the climax of this song, all the flutes in that song. Rake is also a great track, very peaceful. I love the guitars in this song. It makes me want to curl up in a blanket while I just got Sufjan Stevens whispering in my ear, and just makes me feel nice and safe. Demetrius, this is the first song that's kind of skippable. It's kind of like if Sufjan decided to make a Modest Mouse song. Dumb I Sound, however, is great. I love the melody in Dumb I Sound. Rice Pudding sounds like a band getting together for the first time to practice. Super Sexy Woman is also an interesting track. Not one that I would really expect for Sufjan to make here. I'm kind of glad that it's there, because I just get to hear Sufjan just scream, "She's a super sexy woman." Jason is a really nice track. I like the driving rhythm in Jason. Joy, Joy, Joy is great too. It wasn't in the original track listing, but it's in this listing. It's a great track. But overall, I'm gonna have to put A Sun Came in C tier. Or whoa. Chill. I'm putting this album in B tier, guys, because there's some great tracks in there that I'll definitely go back to, and I don't mind listening to it in its entirety. The next album that we got here from Sufjan Stevens is quite a curveball from them, coming from A Sun Came right into Enjoy Your Rabbit. It's got an interesting vibe to it. It's all about like the Chinese zodiacs and stuff like that. This album's kind of classified as IDM almost. That's what it says on the Wikipedia page at least. And it's very electronic. Lots of interesting production techniques going on in this thing. It's quite the fever dream. And it's not the fever dream in the sense of like Since I Left You is the fever dream. This is this fever dream of like Nightmare on Elm Street type fever dream. A lot of these tracks are just, I just feel like I'm getting chased down by some guy who wants to kill me or something. But besides that, there are some great tracks in this thing. Year of the Ox, I love the synths in Year of the Ox. Nice bellies going on in there. Year of the Boar, despite the very hectic guitar riffs, I do enjoy Year of the Boar. Year of the Tiger is very nice. A cool little female vocalist going on in there. Year of the Rooster is also very sick because I like those flutes in there. Nice flutes with some nice bells. Year of the Dragon. Year of the Dragon is really nice to listen to. And Year of the Horse. Year of the Dragon, Year of the Horse, both very long songs, but both very pleasurable experiences. I don't think I'll ever come back to this album as its whole entity ever again, to be honest, but there's definitely some highlights in there. Don't hate me, guys, but it's going in the C tier. This album is kind of a chore to get through, but there are some highlights. Michigan, the first album from the 50 States Project, or what I like to call it, the 50 States Prank, because he really made you all believe that he was going to make 50 albums based off of each state of America. He's got to be insane to do that, which honestly, I wouldn't put it past him to do that. I don't blame you guys for believing it. I feel like the pacing in this album is a little weird, to be honest. I don't know, I just feel like some of the slow tracks break up the pacing of like the more faster tracks and stuff like that. And also, a lot of the more cheery tracks, maybe a little too cheery for my taste. Flint is a fantastic opener to the album. Very soft with those piano chords, and Sufjan's voice, very nice. All the Good Naysayers, Speak Up or Forever Hold Your Peace, fantastic song as well. This is one of the more faster, cheerful songs, but I definitely do enjoy this song. I like the piano in there. There's some nice guitars in there. For the Widows in Paradise, this track is fantastic as well. Nice banjo chords being played here, and I really enjoy the chorus in this track. The Upper Peninsula, the riff in this track, perfect. Oh, Detroit, Lift Your Weary Head. I really enjoyed the middle waypoint where he's like talking about like how it's a great idea or whatever. Like, there's just so much going on in the orchestration of that track, and I love it. Romulus, also a great track. Nice acoustic vibes coming there. Vito's Ordination song is so peaceful. This is my favorite Sufjan closer of all time. This song has the same feeling that Rake did for me. Makes me feel so safe. I'm gonna throw it in A tier. Michigan is an A tier state. Even though I've never been there, I will just base my opinion of Michigan off of this album. Next, we got Seven Swans. Good alliteration in this title here. Sufjan Stevens, Seven Swans. That's like Sally sells seashells Bells by the Seashore. This album is just sweet Sufjan Stevens with his banjo and his guitar, and that's all it is. Sometimes we just want Sufjan with his guitar, and that's what we got in this album. All the trees of the field will clap their hands. Awesome opener. I clap my hands to this song every time I hear it. I am the trees, and I'm clapping my hands. In Devil's Territory is one of my favorite Sufjan songs of all time. I love that intro with the banjo chords and how he's picking it. Nice little finger picking there. Every time that song comes on, I just get in the moment. I lose whatever I'm thinking about. I just go, wow, listen to how beautiful this song is. To Be Alone With You, this is obviously like the big hit off this album with 80 million plays on Spotify. Good lord, Sufjan. It's a good song. I don't think it's my favorite. Sister, just like in Devil's Territory, Sister has a fantastic intro with some nice guitars in there. And then He Woke Me Up Again. Whenever like that synth sound comes in, that synth guitar sound, it just sounds like I'm being woken up. It just sounds so perfect to what the song is saying. The song Seven Swans, I gotta say, dude, Sufjan, you should have made this the album closer, because this is a perfect album closer. This album is just sweet Sufjan Stevens with a sweet Sufjan guitar and a sweet Sufjan voice, and that's sometimes what we need in life. So I'm putting this album in the A tier. This album is like the best album of all time. You can quote me saying that right now. It may not be my favorite album of all time, but arguably this is the best album of all time. He's like writing essays in these song titles. This song title, if you play it on Spotify, like on mobile, the song will end before it has time to scroll through the entire title of the song. The actual album itself is perfect. Concerning the UFO sighting near Highland, Illinois, when I was listening to this album for the first time, I fell in love immediately. And then the flutes come in. That is just so mystical and so amazing. Come On and Feel the Illinois. The transition between part 1 and part 2 is amazing. When I was first found this album, I was still in like my Modest Mouse and Radiohead stage, so I never heard of something of this caliber before, so you can imagine how shocked my brain was. John Wayne Gacy Jr. This is the best song about a serial killer that I've ever heard in my life. I don't know many songs about serial killers. In fact, this is probably the only one, but this is the best one. Jacksonville. Love this song. Can we just vibe to it? I just want to vibe to it. Andrew Jackson, all I'm asking. Just the mix of like the trumpets and the violin and the guitars is so fantastic. One of my favorite songs off this album. Decatur or Round of Applause for Your Stepmother. Sufjan's got straight up bars on this song. Chicago, so mystical of a track, so amazing. Casimir Pulaski Days, one of my favorite songs off this album. I love the story in this song, love the guitars in the song, nice acoustic vibes in there. Predatory Wasp, I feel like so many people will get mad at me if I don't mention that track, so there's my mention. The Tallest Man, The Broadest Shoulders, dude, this track's fantastic, especially the second part of this song. The second part is so great in this song. This album is the best album of all time, so I'm just gonna throw it straight into the S tier. Nothing else to say about it. All delighted people, raise your hand. So this is technically an EP, but I feel like if I didn't include this album, everyone's gonna be pissed off in the comments and I wouldn't hear the end of it. I mean, it's basically like the same length as an album, let's be honest here. Definitely not my favorite, but there's definitely some standout tracks in there, like All Delighted People. However, I think the classic rock version might be better. I'm still trying to decide on which one I like more. Heirloom's a very sweet song from Sufjan there. From the Mouth of Gabriel, I love the keyboard, piano, whatever it is. I really enjoy the sound of that piano. Jehovah, Jehovah. That track's fantastic. 17 minutes, quite a long song to get through, but it is pretty worth it. Nothing really too special about this album. It's not quite B tier, but it's like the low end of A tier. How many people are delighted by the fact that I put it in A tier? Guys, this next album is probably the second best album of all time. Oh my god, what an incredible experience this album is to listen to. Amazing mix of electronic vibes and orchestration vibes and just sick beats and just amazing vocals, and this album just truly has it all. Sitting through this whole album is truly an amazing experience. Futile Devices is a fantastic opener. I especially like after the first verse, more instrumentation gets put into it. Like, I love the piano and like the extra little guitar sounds that are getting thrown into it. Too Much is just enough. Let me tell you, Too Much is not too much. This song is just enough. You want your electronic instrumentation? You got that. You want your freaking strings and stuff like that? You got your strings and stuff like that. You got your sick beats, and it's also super catchy, dude. Age of Adz, this song is super cinematic. I love it. Just like, listen to this opening, man. The choir in there is just all like, oh. Now That I'm Older is incredible. I love the vocal layering and Now That I'm Older. Vesuvius, fun fact, this song is sampled in Mac Miller's Donald Trump, I think it is. And so I knew that song before I listened to this song. So it's kind of interesting to hear where the sample was originally from. But one of my favorite moments in this track is where like after like the climax of the song, like it's all nice and loud. There's like the droney sound and then it cuts out and then the flutes come in there. It is amazing. I Want to Be Well, a top-notch Sufjan song here. The last portion of the song where Sufjan's is having a panic attack. That's like the best part of the song and it's amazing. Impossible Soul. This song is a journey. This song is a 25-minute, 34-second journey and it is so worth it to listen to the whole thing. Sufjan will never make a song as great as Impossible Soul ever again and I will stand by that. He really peaks with this song and especially this moment of the song. I have nothing more to say. This whole album is amazing, man. S-tier album, Carrie and Lowell. Remember how I said sometimes all you need is Sufjan Stevens with his nice Sufjan Stevens guitar? Imagine if Sufjan Stevens had a mom who passed away before writing this album. And you don't have to imagine it because that is what this album is. I mean, honestly, I don't have anything to complain about with this album. So heartbreaking and so heartwarming at the same time. It's a good pacing of vibes. You got Death with Dignity, a nice peaceful song with some nice peaceful guitar chords. There's a nice little piano in there and it's not like super in your face and depressing, but some of the songs are super in your face and depressing, like 4th of July. Holy shit, Sufjan, you're trying to make me cry here, dude? 4th of July is probably my favorite song off the album. The Only Thing is also really good too. Another like peaceful song, which is good because it comes after 4th of July. I especially like the electric guitar in the song, like when that comes in. It's a very transcending experience. John My Beloved, I like the instrumental of this track a lot. I like the keyboard type vibe that's going on there. I mean, No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross also great. Also, I skipped over Should've Known Better, All of You Wants All of You, Drawn to Blood. There's no skips in this album. It's an S-tier album. I can't put it anywhere below S-tier because that'd be disrespectful to Sufjan and his mother. These are the greatest albums of all time. S-tier, fun fact for those of you who don't know, actually stands for Sufjan tier. So if you put any album in S-tier, you're saying that it's just as good as Sufjan's entire discography. Alright guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't completely vibe with this album. Planetarium is good. There's some great tracks in here, don't get me wrong. It's very spacey. I enjoy space, right? When I first listened to this album when it came out, I actually put on my headphones. I sat in a nice dark room, put some space footage on my desktop, and I just listened to this album as I was traveling through space. It was very fun. I suggest that you do that if you haven't listened to this album like that before. My problem with this album lies with the fact that there's just a lot of tracks that just don't hold my attention because I'm not a big ambient guy. Black Energy, Sun, and Tides, that whole run I always skip. This is not my type of vibe. There are some fantastic tracks on this thing. Neptune is an awesome opener. Jupiter is also an incredible song. When the drums kicked in Jupiter, man, first time I was listening to this track, I completely lost it. I was not expecting these drums. Listen to these drums. So in your face, so overdrivey. I love it, man. A lot of these songs are just kind of boring. Like Uranus starts off really well, it starts off really great, but it's almost a 7-minute track and like 3 of those minutes are just like ambient space vibes. Yeah, it's cool if I'm looking at space while I'm listening to it, but like if I'm just like out and about, I don't think I'm gonna throw this album on a whole lot. The problem that I have with Mars is that the intro is so fantastic, but then the rest of the songs is kind of mediocre. Like those guitars in there and like where there's like the samples, the random noises and like the hey that intro is fantastic, but then the rest of the song, maybe I was a little bit too hard on this song because the outro of the song is also really good. Saturn's a banger, dude, especially that last part where like the bass kicks in, the drums are kicking in, and like Sufjan's just like, tell me I'm evil, tell me I'm not loved, and the synthesis going on in there. Also, that is like an emo lyric. I feel like that's a lyric that would be thrown in a My Chemical Romance song. Earth, trash. Earth has the same issue. It's just the ambient vibes, and like the second to last portion of the song is the best part of the song, but I don't care to listen to the first 12 minutes of the song to get to that moment. Mercury is a fantastic closer though. One of my favorite Sufjan closers. Mercury is such a floaty song. I'm gonna bite the bullet here. I'm throwing Planetarium in C tier. There's some good tracks in there. It's not something I come back to a whole lot. Not my vibe. Aporia. I used to not like this album, but then I listened to it as I was flying into California at night and there's fireworks from like Disneyland or something like that. And this album was a great soundtrack for my arrival into California. I can't really name any of the songs off the top of my head. I know I like Afterworld Alliance a lot. The beats in the tracks are great. The synths in the tracks are great. As a complete listen through to this album from front to back, it is a vibe. Very spacey, very dreamy, very synthy. I will say that I will probably listen to it just as much as I will listen to A Sun Came. So I'm putting it in beats here. A Sun Came is going behind Aporia. The Ascension. So I might be a little biased. This album came out at the same time that I was moving to Portland. So like I have that memory attached to this album because that was a very special time in my life. I think the production on this thing is fantastic. I think the beats on this thing are fantastic. The writing on this thing is great. I think there's definitely some skippable songs on this album, but the highlights on this album really just outweigh the negatives here. The album starts in such a dynamic way with making me an offer that I cannot refuse. And you got the sweet Sufjan, and then you got the hectic Sufjan, and like the bass in your face. Video game, love this track. I like the synths in this track, like the writing in this track. If you're ever like out and about during sunset time, throw this song on because this is a perfect song for a sunset. I love Limitations just because of all the sounds, man. Those vocal samples that are mixed into that beat is so awesome. Die Happy, dude, this song killed me when I listened to it first. Like the first half of the song, Sufjan is all depressed and sad, talking about how he wants to die happy. And all of a sudden this beat drop comes in out of nowhere and all these crazy dynamic synths are going on at you. Death Star transitioning into Goodbye, all that is incredible, man. Those two songs work so well together. I love how the beat in Death Star slowly transitions into the beat of Goodbye to all that. Sugar, if Sufjan made an entire album just like the intro to Sugar, I would not be upset about it. That intro is phenomenal. I think the song kind of takes a little turn for the worse when Sufjan comes in, not gonna lie. The lyrics might not be the best, but the instrumental in Sugar is fantastic. Here's what I'm gonna do here. This goes right there, and the Ascension goes at the top of A tier. So remember what I said about Planetarium, where I said I don't like the ambient vibes? Well, this album is just kind of just full of the ambient vibes. I don't like it. Now, to be fair, I only listened to it once, but that just shows you that I listened to it once and I didn't have any interest to listen to it ever again because it's boring. I got so bored of it. I like how each like section of the album has its own different vibe, but I can't get myself to like it. Maybe I just don't understand it, guys. Maybe I just don't like this type of music. That's what it is, actually. I'm sorry, Sufjan. I know you worked hard on this album. I'm throwing it in D tier. So sad. I know. Flame me in the comments for it. I know. So as of right now, this is my official Sufjan Stevens tier list. Maybe I'll do a part 2 in the future where I'll add like the Christmas albums and soundtrack albums and stuff like that. Your homework is to comment in the video what your Sufjan tier list is. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to. I'll see you in the next video.